All right, y'all, we're live. I am coming in live. I know it's been a minute here, so we came on earlier to say that we were jumping in live today. We're going to be talking about how to deal with toxic, I hate to say toxic family members, but I guess toxic energy. How to deal with toxic energy during holiday season. This time is like super rough for a lot of people. A lot of people have high conflict family members, friends, situations, coworkers, whatever. And for some reason, holiday time is always the most stressful. So we're coming in live. I'm waiting for my friend Vince to jump on here. And it might take a minute, and I hope some people might be able to jump on live. I know it's kind of early, and I know people are getting ready for the holiday tomorrow, but that's okay. We're going to be sharing this video. Oh, here he is. All right. He's in, he joins. He's got to ask to be invited, and then we're going to jump in as soon as he jumps in here. So give it a second. This is a little messy because we haven't done this from our laptops, and we're just trying to figure all this out. So bear with us. It's going to be a little messy right now. All right. Yay, Carmela's here. Woo woo. Carmela in the house. All right. Yay, Carmela. I hope you can stay. I want your energy here, but if you can't, I love you anyways. But Vince is jumping in. We're talking about, there he is.
I think I'm in. Can you see me?
Are you on your laptop?
No, I'm actually I'm on my phone.
Oh
Unfortunately, I just
man.
can't figure it
If
out.
anybody knows how to go live, oh, you're out there. Don't worry, girl. If anyone knows how to go live on your laptop, please tell us. Or is this like just a phone thing? Yay, I'm here for this. Yay, Carmela. Well, we're live.
Hey,
Gosh, it's
Carmela, how are you
literally
doing?
probably been a couple years since I've been live on this page because I don't do live. But Vince and I jumped in earlier. We wanted to just we just wanted to test this out, make sure that we had everything dialed in. But first of all, we want to announce something, right? That we're collaborating on a podcast together, and it's called Mystic and the Maverick. And I'm pretty sure you can guess who's who. If you guys know me, obviously, my page is called Five Seas of Harmony. But Vince and I, so Vince and I grew up together. We're both Italian. We've known each other. We consider ourselves cousins, right? And Carmela, who's on here, is Vince's. You guys are cousins, right? Yeah.
We're cousins through marriage.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Shit, I had to think about that for a sec.
It's like a cousin of a
But we're
cousin.
all Italians, so a lot of Italians if anyone's jumping in here. But so Vince and I, you came out with your book, Simpin' Ain't Easy. We actually ended up reconnecting and not blood, but choice, yes. We ended up reconnecting and did a podcast together. And I think through that podcast, we just started seeing like these two really cool voices of the masculine and feminine, like, collaborating together. And like, I think it's beautiful to be able to have conversations with the masculine and feminine voice. And so we saw this opportunity to collaborate together, and we decided, hey, let's do a YouTube channel. So we're going to be sharing all about this at the end of this live, but it's called Mystic and the Maverick, and I'm going to be connecting or putting a link in my on here. It's not on there yet, but I will put the link so you can go directly to the page for Mystic and the Maverick. So the reason we decided to do this is because we want to have conversations like this one that we're going to have today that are just difficult conversations that are necessary, but that conversations that people aren't having, but I think that are necessary. And I think you and I, Vince, have had a lot of experience. I sometimes the hard way, like the hard lessons, right?
Right.
And so,
More
yeah.
so than you know.
Yeah, I mean, the School of Hard Knocks is probably our preferable choice of learning. but we've had lots of life experience, and we're gonna just come in and share like a little bit about like what worked for us, what helped us. We've both been through like a lot of difficult situations and experiences, family stuff, divorce, um, Vince through like, well, I'll let you share a little bit about your story, but today we're going to be talking about high conflict situations with family members or even coworkers or friends, because for some reason, this is the time of the year when people, they're feeling it, right? We're in fall, we're going to winter. It's like everything starts going internal, and people, not everyone has family, not everybody's in touch with family. Some people have had to distance themselves or set massive boundaries with family, and so holidays trigger all kinds of emotions. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that, but Vince, I want you to kind of just say a little bit about yourself. Like, people on this channel already know me since it's my page, but share a little bit about your background.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot that was said there, but I authored a book called Simpin' Ain't Easy. All my links to the site and basically, I'm an entrepreneur, businessman, basically kind of a jack of all trades, and I can be reached at vincegervasi.com. All my links to all my social media there. But yes, I authored a book, and basically the book in and of itself is in essence just a cautionary tale of what not to do when chasing beer and women. So
I
I
love
ended
it.
up basically selling my soul, looking for attention, affection, and affirmation, and my dumb ass decided to publicize it and put it out there. So maybe the younger generation won't have to repeat my stupidity.
Oh my God, your book is like, it really opened the door for me. I don't know what it was. I think because we grew up in similar, well, not exactly the same, but some similar dynamics. And then just hearing your story and like how you got out the other side of that was really inspiring for me. And especially as a man, because you don't hear a lot of men like be that open and vulnerable. So like, I really, really appreciated hearing your story. I think it's very powerful for anyone looking, and also, I love the audio on that, and I've said this over and over again because you will get to know Vince and his Vinceisms and sarcasm, and your tone has not changed. I appreciate that. I'm sure Carmela could vouch for that. Um,
Right.
but yeah, so anyways, just long story short, we want to be able to have these conversations inside YouTube. So on the YouTube channels where we're going to be flowing this, but right today we're kind of just rolling it out, just putting the word out there. We just launched the channel, so there's like literally nobody in there right now. So yes,
This
please
is a
help us get
test run,
started.
so we'll see.
Yeah, help us get started. If you guys are watching this, please follow us. Like, we would really love it. It's going to keep us motivated to go and continue these conversations. And if you want to know more about something, we're
Like,
here to talk
subscribe,
about it.
and share, and all of that other good stuff, right?
Yes, yes. Let's see. Yup. Even just reading the book, I could hear, right? You could hear Vince's voice. I know. I mean, I literally was laughing the entire time because I was like, yes. But there's no holding back when Vince is on these calls. So you never know what's going to happen. You never know what he's going to say. So if there's any children around, you might want to
Yeah,
tell them to leave.
exactly. You may want to just put
Put
earphones in.
put your headphones on.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's dive into this conversation about high conflict family. I hate to say toxic. I think that word is just kind of used a lot. Like, I don't believe, I personally, I don't believe people are toxic, but I do believe there is toxic behavior. But I don't believe like underneath it all, like that soul is toxic, But
I
um,
agree. I mean, I mean, in regards to toxicity, I think for the most part, generally, most people want to be like fair and even. However, I think it's just the tools that we've leveraged in our lives that end up no longer serving us and becoming toxic. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the behavior is unconscious, right? Like, I really do believe people are ultimately trying, like they're showing up to the best of their ability, right? Like,
right.
I don't think, and I mean, I can't speak, like, none of this is an absolute, right? I'm sure there's people that are assholes that enjoy being assholes.
There's
But I'm
always an
talking,
exception to
right?
the
There's
rule.
always like those one percenters that you're like, okay, we're not talking about those people. But the majority of the people are ultimately trying to do their best, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so in that shade of gray, right? Not, we're not talking about the extremes, but in that shade of gray, how do we manage and handle these people? Because you can't avoid them. They're everywhere. It doesn't matter. And ultimately, I believe, if we're going to talk spiritual level, those people come into your life for a reason. Through those painful situations, there's many reasons why those people are in your life. And so a lot of them are in your life for you to step into your power, right? Through this painful experience or this painful exchange, for you to step into your power and not shrink, run, avoid, right? All the many distractions that we use, coping mechanisms to avoid that one thing that we actually need to go towards. So we can
Well,
talk about that. Like, we'll talk about that.
iron sharpens iron. So I mean, the thing is I mean, nobody ever said that, or at least nobody ever told me that life was going to be easy, right? And on easy street. And usually, when life is too easy for me, I find myself getting into all kinds of trouble. So you know, with that being said, um, moving forward, like, growing up, and, there was like, again, nobody guaranteed me that life was going to be easy and smooth. And so through those challenges, and nobody really, like growing up, I mean, we kind of had a semblance of guidance, make sure you don't kill anybody, make sure you don't, do, those types of things, and try to be a productive. However, because of that survivability, and we'll get into the, I think I mean, you bring it up in one of the questions, but I think just trying to survive life, we develop tools, especially when we're really young, that again don't really work out, uh, benefiting us as we grow up and become adults. For lack of a better word, it's just, those tools that we develop just become toxic, I think, is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah. So like the tool, like when we're younger, right? There wasn't a lot of emotional developmental
Shutting down,
conversations,
right?
right? We
Right.
weren't talking, I mean, you and I are in our 50s, so we weren't in an era where we were talking about emotions. I mean, that's a fairly new conversation. So as children don't have the tools, right? Like children only know how they feel, and if something doesn't feel good, they repel, or they learn how to be people pleasers, or they learn all these mechanisms, right? They eat to numb these certain feelings out. They check out of their body. There's many, I mean, you and I have had several of these coping mechanisms, right? And then you ultimately went down the path of addiction or drinking,
Right.
that kind of thing, right? To numb that out until we get to adulthood and we start learning how to take responsibility, and we're like, okay,
Well,
those
and
coping
usually, and getting
mechanisms.
back to your original point, usually it happens when, like in my case, I had to go to jail twice.
The school of hard knocks is what we're
Right,
talking about
exactly.
here,
It's like,
right?
so you kind of learn your lessons. So like I said, going back to what we were saying earlier in regards to, like, life has a tendency of kicking you in the teeth, and everybody's experience is unique to them, right? Now, yeah, I could say there's been millions of people over the millennia that have gone to jail, right, for doing stupid shit, right? However, the thing is that experience is unique to them, right? What I could share in that experience is the fact that it's like, I did something stupid. I had to pay the price. I committed a crime, which was drinking and driving. That was my crime. And then I had to serve my time. I was, and I had to make good with that in regards to the eyes in society. Again, levels of crime. I mean, I guess we could even take this to the spiritual level. Spiritual level, it's like levels of sin. Not one sin is actually different. It's just subjective to the individual that's committing the sin, right, so to speak. So, I mean, coming back full circle back to the this time of year being challenging. I think based on all of our experiences, and this is where I think where this all comes together. It's like when I was younger and I had finished, my undergrad program, I had expected a lot out of the world, and I think what I figured I got my degree. It's like I got the world by the balls, right? And the world just was like, fuck that, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts. Because the world doesn't guarantee anything to anyone, and so I had to learn to navigate and try to figure out, like, okay, well, how do I end up becoming a better human, and how do I get away from these quote unquote toxic people? Again, there's just so much to it, so I don't know where you want to go
Yeah.
with this, but I know you said, why, one of the questions that you brought up earlier was, why this year is challenging.
Yeah, so people want tools, right? Like,
Right.
okay, we understand this. We there's these high conflict people. What do we do about it, right? Let's have a solution. Like, do we go no contact, or do we allow these people to still be in our lives? Like some people, it just depends, right? On this, and there again, this is not a one size fits all kind of route. We're here to just kind of maybe look at different dimensions of this topic, different perspectives. So not this is the absolute truth, right? So you and I have both had to go no contact with family members before.
Right.
Um, and then we've had to also set massive boundaries. We've had to cut people out of our lives. I've been no contact with my parents even for a year.
Right.
This was after my divorce. It was a couple years after my divorce where I realized, like, I'd never detached as an adult, right? Especially as, like, if you're a woman in a cultural family where parents feel this entitlement to telling you how to live, what to do, how to think, like that kind of thing, and there's no separation of, we haven't established an adult relationship, right? It's still parent child. Even if
Right.
you're 40, it's parent child, right? They
Right.
haven't realized that, no, we're not parent child. Like, as your child grows and evolves, you're detaching at every stage in that journey, right? So,
Right.
like, you can't parent a 5-year-old as you would a 12-year-old, 13-year-olds, right?
Right.
Like,
It's
so you
different.
detach as that toddler phase, and now you're stepping into, but they're in a lot of dynamics. Parents don't see that.
But I think it's
Or,
the
and I'm just talking
expectation.
about parents right now, right?
Right. Well, but the thing is I think it's the expectations that we have, especially around this time of year, right? Your parents, they expect you to be well behaved and whatever they consider well behaved, or whatever it is, and their parenting style, like you said, never changes. So they continually believe that they're dealing with a 5-year-old child.
Right.
It's like, and that any type of outburst that you would have, and I don't mean outburst in the terms of, like, being a petulant child, anything that contradicts their idea of what, being a good person is, it's like they still want to treat you like the 5-year-old. And the thing is, and they expect you to fall in line. And it's like, well, as you start to develop your, a lot of quote fingers, but if you start to develop your own personality and your own way of thinking, a lot of times it's going to contradict what another person has, in mind for you. And so coming back to the expectations, it's like we all have expectations of how we're supposed to behave. However, expectations are premeditated resentments. And that's why I think what ends up
Mm-hmm.
happening in the
I like that.
holidays is, like, because if that person isn't going to meet that expectation, like I expected my dad to stay sober around the holidays, right? So that we could go to my aunt's house and have these amazing dinners and do gift exchanges and all of that other shit. I did not expect my dad to get fucking shit faced, beat up on my mom, and fucking pass out at night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
those are the types of fucking expectations that we have. And because we're human, we are going to go ahead and allow these people or these expectations to become resentments, because people are going to let us down. They always let us down. And that's the thing. And so, like, what do you do to go through life? It's like a dog is going to be a dog, right? They're just going to do what dogs do, right? And Carmela probably chimed in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
Carmela,
funny that
she
you say
knows.
that. Yeah.
And the thing is like, and there's nothing really you can do about it. I mean, you could guide them, you could train them, you could but the thing is like, you know, I've got to train the dog to, go poop outside, right? And the thing is, but if I don't give them any training and I expect them to know, I'm setting that dog up for failure. And that's, I think, what expectations do, is we set people up for failure, right? I mean, we expect them to know what is common sense, but what is common sense to me may not be common sense to you.
Yeah.
So our parents, because they don't know how to fucking train kids, because they don't have a book or a manual, it's
Yeah.
like, and then when we start thinking outside of their box, it's like they don't fucking know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
love that you
again,
said that. Like, I've actually used that exact scenario where, and let's just stick with the parent situation
right.
for this conversation, but insert anybody, right? But for the sake of this conversation, let's stay with the example of the parents. So this is how I had to look at things, right? When I detached and separated, which was necessary, right? This is what people did back when. They left the tribe, became an adult, came back with learning some shit, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen anymore. And so when I had to detach, and this was, I'm talking like my late 30s, yeah, late 30s. I mean, I just turned 50, but
It's like, damn, time flies.
I was like, shit, that was 20 years ago. What the hell? So I had to detach, and then, like you just said right now, it's like training a dog, right? Because this is the dog. A dog doesn't have that level of emotional intelligence that we're talking about, right?
Right.
It's small, right? It's very small. And when people say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and the behavior continues, right? The boundaries constantly crossed. They constantly apologize, but then they keep doing the same thing. The behavior is not changing. This is where training comes in, like you said, like training a dog. Like, this is, if you are willing to put that energy in, right? Like, this is where you have to start training, but also maybe pulling back, right?
But
If
is it
you're,
training them or is it training yourself? The thing is I fought, especially in Al-Anon. For those of you that don't know, I'm in a 12-step program called Al-Anon. And you can watch one of our other podcasts to get more of the details. But what the thing is like, in regards to boundaries, I struggled with boundaries because I would place my boundaries and then I would justify. I would actually sit there and try to argue them or defend them or excuse why I have these fucking boundaries. But the thing is like, people aren't gonna, people just don't understand the fucking word no for some reason, right? And so, and they get all fucking upset and they get their panties in a wad because you say no. The thing is it has nothing to do with the lack of respect of you. It just, this particular thing is not gonna fucking fit what I gotta do. It's not that I hate you. It's not that fucking I'm selfish. It's not, it's just, no, it's not gonna fucking
yeah,
work.
yeah,
And I'm not gonna drop every fucking thing, on my plate to accommodate you,
yeah,
right? Because fucking you can't handle your shit. All right. Well, with all that being said, right, and put that off to the side, the thing is going back to the boundaries aren't for them. The boundaries are for me. So when you come back and they're sitting there disrespecting me and they keep repeating and they say the sorries over and over and over again. Well, why the fuck am I keep going back? Maybe I need to respect my own fucking boundary and turn
yeah.
around and walk away.
I think that can go both ways. So the boundary is the training. So the boundary, when you say, if you continue to have this conversation, I'm out, I'm leaving, and then you leave, right? You
Well, you
follow
have to stick
through.
to the boundary. You
You
have to
stick to the
actually execute
boundaries,
on
you
the
follow
boundary.
through with the training, right? You follow
Right.
through, you do what you say you're going to do. So that's the boundary, but then they know you mean business because you bounce. And then if that happens again, boom, you train, you bounce again. If that doesn't work, right? If it continues, the dog doesn't learn. The dog doesn't learn, then you have to, yes, you make a choice, right? The boundaries not being respected. And Carmela said, honoring your own boundaries needs to come first. Absolutely. Those boundaries are for you, right? It's how you love yourself. Boundaries are how I love myself. But I will set that boundary in the hopes of, not in the hopes, I'm setting it for myself. And hopefully if this person respects me, they will respect the boundaries. If they don't respect you, I don't really know how you can have a relationship. I really think that's a necessary component. Like if there is no mutual respect, like you don't have to agree with each other, you don't have to have the same values or judge, like you don't have to see eye to eye on things, right? We're all different. We're not going to see eye to eye, but we do have to respect each other if we're going to be in a relationship with each other. If we can agree to disagree, if we don't have that fundamental piece, for me, it's kind of a deal breaker.
Well, yeah. Well, all of that being said, I agree with every ounce of what you said. But what I'm trying to get at first is like, and you kind of touched on it, was like you have to respect. The thing is everything begins and ends with you. And when we're children, things happen to us when we're children. However, as an adult, like 18, 19 to 25, as our brain is starting to, develop and trying to, develop integrity and emotional intelligence and, and wisdom and all of this stuff. And most of that stuff went, well, I was like water under the bridge because I drank myself to oblivion up until about 28 or so. But with all that being said, and then going into AA and anyways, again, I don't want to get into the history of all of that shit. If you guys want to find that out, just go to our other podcast. But what I'm saying is that, once you actually establish that boundary, once you actually get into and taking care of yourself and respecting yourself, then people will start to treat you differently. And the thing is a lot of those people will detach themselves permanently. And that's okay, because that's where you're going to actually come in. Like in romantic relationships, right? It's like most guys my age who have been divorced, who have married, been divorced, and been through the ringer in regards to relationship. Most of us don't even give a fuck. It's like, I like dating. I like pursuing relationships. I like trying to, but the minute that individual places unreasonable expectations on me, or it's like, and I'm not going to go chasing them anymore. It's like, and this is any relationship. It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic. It could be business relationships, could be paternal relationships, whatever it is. It's like, I'm not running to pursue relationships anymore. And I think, it's like that need to be involved, or that fear of missing out, is gone. Like, I don't give a fuck. I got my peace. I got my roof over my head. I got food on the table. It's like, I've got everything that I need. Everything else is a luxury.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like, because you've dealt with the root of why you did those things.
Right, exactly. And, and if you read my book, it's attention, affection, and affirmation, right? So, coming back full circle, you were talking about contact, and this is a really good segue into contact, no contact, right? Well, the thing is if people aren't respecting your boundaries, then, obviously you have to make the decision to separate yourself and don't be in contact with them. Right?
I think separation is a good starting point because space is very healing. Also space is very healing, right? Like, it allows you time to distance yourself, like get settled, figure out what it is that you want and how you're going to allow others to treat you. Like, I think so for me, it was that year. I had no contact with my parents and one of my siblings. And in that time, I had to work on myself. Like, I got to work on myself. That's where I got clarity on why was I allowing this to happen, and also moving forward, how am I going to allow other people to treat me, right? Because I was allowing that. I was in my late 30s. I didn't need anybody financially. I didn't need that, right? So why was I allowing this behavior to continue to where I allowed other people to dictate how I was going to live my life, right? So that was the underlying thing, it wasn't them. They were doing what they've always done, right?
A dog's going to do what a dog's going to do.
It was me that was continuing to allow this behavior. So you can't even get mad at that person because they're showing up how they've always showed up. The
Right.
question is, yeah, at what, you know, I knew I had for me, I made the choice to go no contact because the I'm sorries were never followed by changed behavior. So
Right.
that for me was like when you see that pattern repeating of, okay, this sorry is bullshit because I don't see you any behavior. You can't say sorry and then do the same shit over again, right? So
Which is
that
true in
pattern wasn't
romantic
changing.
relationships too. I mean, the thing, I mean, I'm guilty of it. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, it's like I've said sorry to infinitum and never changed my behavior. It wasn't
right.
until my late 20s when I was like, you know what, something's fucking up. I got to straighten some shit out.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that takes a real hard look in the mirror, right? And being able to look at what your part in it.
yeah.
Nobody wants to look in the mirror. It's too
No, because
fucking
they want to
hard.
go, it's their fault, it's them. But are you just projecting your anger, pain, whatever on that external situation? You're giving your power away. Like I
Right.
was giving my power away to these characters, right? That were like they should have never had that power. So, you know, they should have never been able to dictate and pull the strings of Marissa's life. I allowed that to happen. I'm not a child anymore. Right. So but ultimately, okay, you know, hindsight is 2020. We could look like I could look at it now and be like, oh shit, those characters, they played that role, even my parents, my family, so that I could wake the hell up to my power, right? To my voice, to my power, to who I am as a woman. Like those people played it, you know, we did come here to experience, have these painful experiences. It's not fun, but change doesn't happen when you're comfortable. Change happens when you have fire under your ass. That's
Right.
how
Exactly.
alchemy happens, right? You have to blacken it. The blackening phase is the first phase in the alchemization process. In the darkness, in the discomfort, right? That's where you find out who you really are, apart from using everybody else as a crutch. So those people can no longer be your crutch. You're giving them too much power. They should never have that power. And so in that year is when I had to reclaim that power. And it took longer than that, really, but
Right.
that was kind of the wheels in motion of, okay, like it's not them. You have to stop waiting around. You'll wait around an entire lifetime expecting that person to change. They're not.
Well, but that, I mean, everything that you're saying kind of falls into that whole range of victimhood, right? You know, giving other
Yeah,
people your power.
yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
I could run. I'm a victim of the system, right? You know, it's like, oh, I was just out having fun and I got pulled over, and that fucking cop fucking decided that he was gonna, you know, nail me with a DUI and all of this other shit, right? Not realizing that who's the dumbass who actually fucking took that drink and, you know, jumped
Yeah,
in the car and started driving, right?
right.
And I could sit here and blame the system. Fuck that. You know, and the first time I learned about looking in the mirror, I was actually in that high road program, you know, where they have a DUI class. I don't know if they still do it or whatever. But you have a DUI class that you go and sit in, and the instructor, right, who's you know, an alcohol and recovery coach or whatever, you know, and he's like sitting, dumbass, you broke the fucking law, right? We have
You're,
laws. We
for
have
a reason.
right, in
Yeah,
place that say don't drink and drive.
right. And you're mad at them. Yeah.
And it's like, but you're yeah, exactly. I'm mad at them and the system and all that other
You're
shit. And
mad
I'm
because you
like,
got caught.
well, yeah, well, and but playing that victim role, right? And it's like, well, it's not my fault. You know, I was out having a good time. It's like you know, well, who the fuck put the drink in my hand, right?
That is like, yeah, it's a bitch smacking. Of course.
And
Of
so I
course.
gave
Yeah.
all my power to the system. I gave all my power to fucking my friends. I gave all my power. I get all this shit away, not realize, you know, and then sitting here thinking that, oh, woe is me, you know, and the world's fucking smallest violin and etc. It's like for fuck's sake, man. And but it took me 30 years because now the first issue was the drinking, right? You know, but it took 30 years to like work through all of the layers, right? You know, selfish behavior, and by selfish behavior meaning like where I would use and manipulate people to get what I needed, right? You know, the same is true for sex and relationships. It's like, or I would, pull at my mom's heartstrings. It's like, hey, I need some money, I'm in trouble, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like what, and I talk about it in the book. When I ended up defaulting on my credit cards, right? It's like all of that shit was in my control. All of that shit, but the thing is I played the victim. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the credit card company. Them motherfuckers don't understand. They want their fucking money is what they want.
They don't give a shit about your story.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about your story. And
Yeah.
but again, I had to develop those boundaries. I had to develop those tools. And it's like, oh yeah, hey, maybe I need to fucking start managing my money, right?
Yeah.
I can't fucking sit here. It's like complaining I'm always broke and fucking blah blah blah. Well, how am I spending my fucking money?
Right.
Right?
Well, you got to take, like you said, a hard look in the mirror and look at some of that stuff, right? Otherwise, you can do this a lifetime, right? You can sit here and make it everyone else's fault, right? But so at what point did you decide I need to go no contact? How did you make that decision to go no contact?
It just really happened. I mean, specific. If we want to stick to the parental aspect of it, it was after my sister's wedding. She got married in 2008, and about 2010, 2011, 2013. So I got married in 2013. And I was trying to establish a relationship and a family with my wife at the time, and it seemed, and my parents were divorced, and it seemed like they just wanted to inject themselves into my fucking business.
Mm.
Again, it felt to me like they were trying to still manage me and still manage the relationship, uh, like I thought I was like 10 years old.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that
They
was
wanted to, it's like, some silly ass shit pops up on social media and one or the other parent will freak the fuck out, or and then cause grief between, and they put me in a position where I had to choose between my wife or I had
yeah,
to choose them. Now
yeah,
whether or not they agree with that statement or whatever has nothing to do with them. That's just how they behave. This is what they know. This is what they do, right? The thing is like how I dealt with it. The thing is I was trying to establish my relationship with my wife and create
yeah.
my family. And so I thought the best way to just deal with that, again, to give myself that space, is to estrange myself.
Hmm.
And that was
Wow, I
it.
didn't
It
know
was
that.
just, what's that?
I didn't know that, but your story is very similar to mine.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
that's really wild. So that's really wild because when I decided no, so my parents, they didn't accept my divorce, like boom, like that was just
right.
non-accepting, and it was just very hostile. But then they kind of obviously got over it because there was no turning it around. Like I don't know where you thought you had to say so. But then when I started dating my now husband, we've been together now for 12 years, but when I started dating him is when they thought they could be like, okay, well, we accept your divorce, but we want the same thing like that. Like we want to say so in this relationship and how it looks and what you're going to do. And I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, oh, hell no. I didn't go through a divorce so that you can come in and try to sabotage this relationship.
right.
That first marriage was all for acceptance from my parents, right? This is the acceptable
Right.
marriage. It's what I should do. But then when with my now husband, when we started dating, they thought, oh, I'm gonna pull the strings, right? And I was just like, no. And that's actually when we were pregnant with our son, and I didn't talk to them the entire pregnancy until like I was 8 months pregnant. And that's when like my dad actually came to apologize and was like, um, hey, can we talk and like put this together? My dad seen me, my belly 8 months pregnant, probably feeling ridiculous, right? Like
Yeah.
realizing he's not going to be part of this child's life.
He was
And
probably
it wasn't what
shocked.
I wanted.
Right.
Of course, I felt like an asshole. I felt like a piece of shit. I felt like a shitty daughter. I actually went to family events still, and I actually acted like they were dead. So when we would be at these family events, because the thing is, if I opened the window just that much, Like they would have jumped right in there. And I
Right.
was like, you know what? I'm not coming to these events to pretend that everything is okay so that you can feel comfortable because my family knows what's up. I
Yeah.
don't need to hide it. They know. So I'm not going to make sure like you're comfortable with that. So they would try to like come up to me and like say hi. And I was just like, no, like I was just stone cold with them.
Yeah.
So it was not an easy decision. I understand for people that are like, do I cut them out or what? Like that didn't happen very easily. Like there was a lot that led to that place that led to making that decision, right? This is for me, and especially because I had two kids at the time with my ex, their grandkids. I never removed them from the grandkids. Like I was always like, if you want to see it, like my son had a phone, you can call them, you can come out, you can be outside, they'll come outside. And that's what I had to do. But
Right.
I'll tell you right now, that was the best freaking decision I ever made. Like literally after that year when they apologized, like moving forward, it changed everything. Like they understood that we are equals. We are adults now. We're not a child parent dynamic anymore. Like you
Right.
don't get to say so. So like
Right.
what you had to like set those boundaries, that's kind of crazy because it's almost the same scenario.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, but I had to come into my own. It's like I didn't want. I mean, I don't know. Again, we could get into the boy girl thing if we want to, but for me, it was like I had a home front, and I was very much willing to protect my wife and keep her from the meddling parents, so to speak. I'm not disrespecting. I'm just saying this is how it was. The dynamics of the relationships was because your parents. I mean, I genuinely believe that they have your best intentions in mind. However, I think their delivery is completely fucked up. And and because they don't recognize boundaries, because
Yeah.
fuck, as a
Because they
child,
didn't
you
have
never
any.
had any boundaries. It was like fucking they used to change my diaper and I would shit all over the place. You know what I'm saying? It's like so there's no boundaries.
They
Just
don't
all my
even know what
diapers,
that word
right? It's
means.
like
Yeah.
all right, exactly. So it was like there shouldn't be boundaries between a mom and their son or a mom and their
Right.
daughter or father. It's like ridiculous. And it's like, but the thing is they don't know how to let go either and realize that like, hey, I need to fucking raise a family here. And so when I got to that point, I was like, I just didn't want to expose my wife to that fucking
Yeah.
whether toxic behavior, not toxic people, but toxic behavior. We talked
Yeah.
about it earlier.
And
And I
that's
was just like, it'll be
beautiful as a
safer.
masculine,
And I
right?
want peace. I want peace. I want peace under the roof. And it's just like, hey, it's like, I'll just cut you out. It's just easier to do that because I'm trying to establish something here, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying
And
to
and
move
so
on.
you protect your little family, right?
Right.
And that's what I had to do. I had a baby about to come on the way, and I was just like, no, like, we're not doing this. This is not an environment that I want to bring a child into, right? And so I think so for people that are thinking about this, there's a lot of dynamics. If you're starting to see that you're constantly, depleted, this is causing you a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, like it's really taking up mental energy, mental space in your body, right? And controlling, like you might want to think about having some separation, like even if it's just a little bit of space to like really get some clarity on it. I think like for those let's transition into those people that are not willing to do that, right? There's people that are like, I can't do that, I'm not going to do that. Okay, then there are other ways of trying to set boundaries to where you know your limitations, like
Well,
even let's say with even friendships, there's some people that are friends with some people and they're like, okay, I don't want to necessarily cut them off because I love them, but at the same time I understand like when I spend time with them after like 2 hours my energy starts dipping.
yeah, but that's kind of like, I mean, this is an extreme example. I'm not making any light of it, but we'll talk about like the relationships where there's abuse, whether it be a chick beating up on a dude or a dude beating up on a chick, where there's fucking physical abuse, right?
Yeah,
So
that's a whole nother story. Yeah.
right, but what I'm trying to go the extreme example so that I could just make this point. The thing is you know, the excuse is, well, I love her or I
Yeah,
love
no,
him. And
no.
it's like, the thing is bitch, how the fuck can you love somebody if you can't even love yourself?
Yeah, no, no. That
Right?
that
And
that's the
so,
extreme that we talked about when we opened up. Like that,
right.
for me, I don't have any tolerance on that whatsoever.
Well, but I'm not talking about the abuse in of itself. This is just an extreme example. But the thing is like when you're talking about like when you made the point of like you know putting down your boundaries and not exercising them because of the fact that you know I can't get rid of this friend because those little abuses, right? The you know it's like I can't believe she disregarded my birthday or whatever the fuck the example is like it's like you continue to allow those abuses to happen. So the first tool that I would recommend in regards to, you know, the arsenal is sit down and take a minute to look in the mirror and find out why these people are bothering you when they behave the way they behave.
Yeah, yeah. So for like the example that you just said with if there's little situations that happen, I mean the first thing I would say too is like have that conversation, right? Like don't assume things or create stories in your head without first number one exercising your voice,
Well,
right?
that's why you need to actually take a look at because before you create stories in your head, because the thing is we like to fill the gaps, right? We like to fill those gaps. Well, the thing is like I'll give you a perfect example. Say some guy at work emailed me something, and obviously the tone is set by the reader, and everybody communicates by email at fucking work, right? Nobody can pick up the phone and make a
Yeah.
goddamn phone call anymore. I'm like, so I get this, you know, nasty gram, or at least what's perceived to be a nasty gram. Well,
Yeah.
I can fill that in and I can start, you know, like filling in all the gaps. It's like, who the fuck is this guy telling me what I fucking need to do and blah, 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 and, you know, so on and so forth and get all worked up. First thing before I even is like, whoa, take a pause, right? Like take a minute and just realize, all right, why did this email rub me the wrong way?
Yeah.
And once I can define why it's rubbing me the wrong way, then I can learn to address it and respond, not react, but respond to it in
Yeah.
a proper way,
Yeah.
right? You know, so and that's the thing. And because if I'm sitting there letting my brain take over, it, again, as I said earlier, everything begins and ends with me, right? I could get a nasty gram from somebody in an email, but the thing is my response is my responsibility, right? Respond, responsibility. You know, it's like how I interact. And the first thing I need to do is identify what the fuck's going on inside me, right?
You actually look at the, I don't know if you can see this list right here, but it's
I
my
can't. I got
emotional,
my glasses on, but this
it,
screen is
it's
too
my,
much.
I'm going to read it to you.
All right.
It's from my emotional intelligence class, right? And when things happen, when you're trying to assess an emotion, right? What's going on, you get
Right.
triggered, whatever. It's called ruler. The first one is, you just said a lot of this, recognize, right?
Right.
Understand,
Uh-huh.
label it, um, express it, and then regulating.
I
So when
like
it
that.
comes to emotion, the first thing, like you said, is okay, recognize what is going on here. Like try to understand it, label what that is, label the emotion that's coming up. Is this making me feel angry? Am I agitated? Like because the minute you label it, you know how to work with it, and then express it, speak it, right?
Right.
Get some clarity around it, and then regulate. What are you going to do to regulate that emotion, right? Instead of being the only tool that most of us have is to be reactive, right?
Right.
We get something like
Exactly.
that, boom, it's a fire alarm. And then a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not even what you even thought it was.
Yeah.
But the only reason you're reacting is because it triggered something else,
Exactly. So you have to
right?
figure out what that something else is,
Right.
right? Is this email attacking my ego? Okay, well, why is it attacking my ego? Am I feeling like a fraud, like I can't do my job? Is this guy claiming that I can't do my job? You know,
Right.
it's like what are the fucking reasons
Right.
behind, you know, that instant reaction?
It's
Because, you
touching
know,
that, right? The
right, growing up in a
insecurity, the
yeah,
not good enough story.
growing up in a negative affirming environment, it's like you always assume the worst.
It's so true. It's
Right.
so
And the
true.
thing is if it was a positive, if I grew up in a positive affirming, it's like, hey, you know what? You fucked up there, son, but you know what? This is how you do it right. Instead of, no,
Uh,
fucking, get the
yeah.
fuck out of here. You're fucking up, It's
Our
not,
mind, and this
you're
conversation
worthless.
comes up so much for me,
Right.
is like, especially with clients when we're coaching, it's always when something happens, it's always the freaking worst case scenario. It's always instantly they go to the worst case scenario. It's like waiting for that
Always.
other shoe to drop, right? Or
Right.
waiting for the freaking war to happen. And it's like tunnel vision. And like people can't expand out and see anything outside of that, right? So like they just go very tunnel vision. But okay, so let's speak to those people that are at a Thanksgiving table tomorrow and somebody says some shit, right? And
Right.
it just freaking puts a little fire under your ass.
Well, okay, so like hypothetical. Okay, so there's a lot of pressure that's put on the fucking holidays, right? Christmas, Thanksgiving, right? You have all these fucking expectations, and I
Yeah.
said it earlier, right? Expectations are premeditated resentments. Resentments take away my serenity, right? That's kind of like my little mantra, right? When I'm going to the table, it's like if somebody decides to pop off with something stupid and political, or just say something, whatever, you know, left wing, fucking right wing, what doesn't fucking matter. Take a minute to pause, right? And this is a great fucking acronym. Postpone action until serenity emerges,
So
right?
postpone action until serenity emerges.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So if this guy's
Take a
going off
breath.
and blah blah blah, fucking just whatever the fuck they're saying, they pop off with something stupid. Just take a minute just to sit in silence, and then once they sit in silence, ask them to repeat what they said.
Mm.
And typically, they'll realize that they fucked if they have any type of self awareness. Now, there are some people that don't. But if they have any type of self awareness, they'll realize whatever they spit out of their mouth is stupidity, right?
Yeah.
And then you could always pause and say, look, you know what? Irrespective of whatever your position is, it's like this is not an appropriate conversation to have at the dinner table, and you could establish that boundary, right? But the
Yeah.
thing is back in the day, I'd have been all like, "Fuck you."
Flip up the table and shit.
It's like, get the fuck out of here. It's like,
Oh.
it's like,
No, no. So this is what this is what I do. Number one, I mean, it's not like this anymore, really. But number one, I always try to like visualize before I even go to that event how I want to feel. Because some people have anxiety driving up to maybe their family's house. Like literally right before they get there, their stomach starts contracting. They're like, like they start feeling the knots coming on, right? And I've had this happen to me many times where I've had to be like, hey, that's not healthy. Like, how do I want to feel when I'm there? Forget everyone else. It doesn't even matter who's in that room. How do I want to feel? Like, I'm in my own experience, right? Who gives a shit what everyone else is saying and whatever. Like, so I start thinking about, okay, like, I want to feel this or joy, or what do I want to like focus on? What do I want to talk about? Whatever. And then, like, when those triggers happen and someone says some stupid shit and you just start noticing yourself contracting, I've had clients like, I would be like, okay, go to excuse yourself and go to the bathroom, literally go to the bathroom and just start like taking some breaths and calming stuff down. Like, just be like, I need to excuse myself. Let me, leave for, excuse me. And then just go, like you said, like we said, start regulating, start belly breathing, and then be like, is this actually worth your engagement? Because
but
not
again,
everything requires.
you bring a great point because it's all about perspective, right? The thing is like, that there's going to be somebody that's going to get, so it's like, but the thing is, so you can't expect that this night or this fucking engagement's going to be fucking, mistletoe and fucking, snowflakes and shit. It's not going
Right?
to fucking be that. So
It's
if you
not kissy
already
kissy. Yeah.
understand that that's the situation, that you're going in, it's like, again, it's like you can't expect a dog to be anything other than a fucking dog. And so what do you got to do? You got to regulate yourself. So the minute somebody says something stupid, it's like, That's a real interesting perspective, and then just walk the fuck away.
Right.
Or otherwise, you're gonna get a boot up. That dude's
Exactly.
gonna get
Like
a boot up their ass.
yeah, sometimes you just gotta walk away and let them sit with that. And also maybe have a cap on your time.
Right.
Maybe be like, okay, 2 hours is my limit. After that, I'm not willing because some people will power through like and stay somewhere for 5 hours. They leave, they're freaking exhausted. It takes them 2 days to recover from
Right.
that one.
You got a fucking emotional hangover. Those are
No,
the
you do.
fucking
You got
worst,
your
man.
like I've been in so many of those situations where like,
Yeah.
why am I so freaking tired? I'm just not willing to like give that up anymore. I'm
Yeah.
not willing to give so much of myself anymore like that. Like I know my limits with certain people and I know what I can and can't do. And there's certain people that you don't want to be in a one-on-one conversation with. Let's say at that family event where you're like, don't sit me next to this person, right? And you kind of try to maneuver to where there's buffers
Right.
and you're not like isolated with this high conflict person, right? That just doesn't know how to act or behave. And then also learning how to not take that shit personal, right?
Right.
Like you don't
Quit
need to
taking it
carry other
personal.
people's
Q-tip.
garbage.
That's another acronym.
What's
That's
that?
Q-tip. Quit
Q-tip?
taking it personal.
Ah, okay, I like
That's
that.
another acronym. Quit taking it personal. That's
Quit
a
taking it
great
personal.
acronym. It's like most of the people who are stupid, they're stupid because they're fucking self-inflicted stupidity. You don't have to engage in it,
Right.
and taking all that bullshit personal.
Exactly. So
beautiful
yeah,
advice.
so I think we kind of gave enough for everybody to kind of have a full picture of some
Of
options.
how psychotic our families are.
Our families are not the only ones. I promise you this. There's so like there's so many people that I know that are like this is a normal topic. I actually think I told you that it was on scrolling on Instagram yesterday, and I came across something that Oprah posted that was like, oh, we're gonna be talking about people that just basically like cut off their family, like just no contact, right? People that go
Right.
no contact. And I'm like, dude, that's been going on. Where have you been? But
Right. And it's not for the I think the Oprah brought it up.
radio silence.
I think Oprah brought it up because of politics, because we're so divided as a fucking nation in regards to politics. Right? That's why she brought it up, contact, because you have people on the left who are saying, I don't want to fucking hang out with my fascist fucking who's just basically goes to church on Sunday and he's a fucking fascist, whatever. Just like that fucking nonsense.
The first thing is keep politics off the dinner table. I don't think that's.
But you got that fucking uncle. I mean, you got that uncle who's gonna fucking bring up politics. And
it's so funny because none of that stuff triggers me. Like because first of all, I don't invest that much in the political arena, but none of that. Like I have people in my life that are all over the place, but I really try to.
Families.
Yeah, we have big families, and
so it's like all 75 of us or 100 of us are gonna fucking think and react the same way. It's like whatever.
But can you connect to that person's heart? Like, right? Can you be in front of that person and see beyond the personality? Like that's the real test right there. Right. Like, can you see beyond this persona, this label, whatever this label? Can you connect heart to heart?
Right.
And this is what we're doing here, like talking about real shit that actually.
Well, what if they don't want you to connect heart to heart? So then what do you do?
Those are the soul-sucking situations that I'm talking about.
Right? So
then you say, can you pass me the turkey?
you limit those interactions to a free, surface type interactions. Hey, how are you doing? Glad to see you.
Yeah, small talk.
And then you go hang out with the other fucking, 30% of the family that actually like hanging out with you.
I'm always with the kids. The kids
right?
are awesome.
You know what? It's like if I could bring my dogs, I'd be with the dogs. So it's like, I mean, our family was a patriarch. So when my grandmother passed away, it's like everybody went to the Four Winds, right? The small subgroups and the small, they all kind of went their own way, right? But if I get invited to a friend's house, like around the holidays or something like that, it's like if they have a pet, I'm fucking hanging around the dog.
Right.
It's like,
I know if Carmela's still on here, I know that's what she's gonna do.
Right,
For sure.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. So, anyways, I'm going to share on here our podcast, Mystic and the Maverick. Our
for
podcast
sure.
is going to be on YouTube. So we just opened it up. There's no one on there. Please like and follow it. Carmela set it up. I'm going to share it here on this. You can link from this link here. But yeah, we really love your engagement on there. If you can share it with friends. We're going to have more conversations like this in there. We're just kind of rolling it out in here just to kind of share it with everyone on here. But yeah, this is the host is going to be on YouTube. So, or we're hosting it on YouTube.
Well, hopefully, if I could get my technical ass in line and get a little more savvy, we'll be able to cast this out to whatever platform, Instagram,
That'll be
YouTube,
cool. Yeah.
simultaneously, Rumble or whatever. And for
Yeah.
those of you that want to get a hold of me through social media or
Yes.
follow me, just go to vincegervasi.com. I have a whole link tree set up there.
Yes.
And you can like, follow, subscribe. And yeah, once we get this out and blown up, yeah, it's going to be everywhere. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta get smarter.
I know we're going to figure this out. Logistics is the hardest part of this is
I need a
logistics.
producer. So if anybody wants to, yeah, we need a
Seriously,
producer to help us get this thing going.
we're learning, but we're committed. But I think we're going to put all the links as well. The links to contact us will be in YouTube as well. So
Beautiful.
they can reach out that way too. So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks everyone who joined, who's watching this. We appreciate your time and energy. And yeah, we hope you have an amazing holiday for those celebrating Thanksgiving. And I'm sure everyone has something they can just celebrate being grateful if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. But
Well, yeah, there's always something to be grateful for sure. Just the fact that you
absolutely.
have a roof over your head and food in your belly is always a blessing.
That's all that matters. That's
That's
literally
it.
all
That's
that
it.
matters, right?
So,
All right, guys. Love you guys, and we'll talk soon.
happy
All right.
Thanksgiving. Love you, mean it.
Bye
Bye.
bye. You too.